2025 was a busy year, and amidst it, I managed to play a lot of cool games, and failed to ever talk about any of them. Not everything on this list was released this year, and not every title was beaten, but all deserve mention, starting with Rabbit and Steel. Rabbit and Steel manages to sell its roguelike experience by emulating what it might feel like to perform in an MMO's raid. They abstracted the experience into a side-scrolling bullet hell focused on cooperation, boss mechanics, and a boss rush structure to sell that raid feel without the time investment while also not sacrificing the challenge. The unlocks are fun, the aesthetic is cute, the gameplay is challenging. It still has a single-player mode, and overall, it's an extremely tight and fun team-based game between a group of friends or a duet of them. And while it has a single-player game mode, I'd argue the best moments of Rabbit and Steel come from cooperation, or lack thereof. A more typical roguelike would be Shape of Dreams, heavily inspired, it seems, by League of Legends, and combines the roguelike genre with design philosophies much closer to that of MOBAs. The character-focused design, the item progression, talent trees, and ability draft-like progression all really appealed to me. It's definitely challenging on harder difficulties, with plenty of achievements or hidden unlocks, and my main complaint with the whole thing is that I simply wanted more. It took me less than a dozen hours to beat. Thankfully, it's still being developed in early access, and I'm excited to see more. And for the elephant in the room, Dispatch is an improvement upon the Telltale format. At the tail end of the superhero parody trend, Dispatch delivers a hyper-polished, fun, humorous, empathetic, and resoundingly safe story. I enjoyed it tremendously, but felt like it failed to do anything new or say anything meaningful, because at the end of the day, it aims to be a universally enjoyable adventure. It refuses to take risk, but it's consistently funny. The gameplay is actually very good, and overall it's charming with its characters, world, and immense polish. Dispatch is wonderful, but at the end of its first season, it left me wanting more, but not in the way I expected. Okay, Q.Up is weird. It's an esport parody game that can be played offline or online, cooperatively or with just bots, and it's all about coin flipping. Yes, it's an esport game about coin flipping, and it's phenomenal. First off, let me quote a Steam review. You cannot control the outcome, but you can control the outcome of the outcome. That sums it up. You can control the output of the outcome through a system of skills that can trigger and loop into themselves to then generate effects based on the outcome to manipulate your points, which determine your rank. So it's not chance, it's fun. Plus, it has a really fun story in its email system, making light of esports and live service games. This coin flipping game is actually really good. I'm not very good at Souls games, but their beauty and mechanics demand interest. Nightreign captured that same golden glow as Elden Ring and the mechanical depth from FromSoft and encapsulated it into a quick, cooperative, roguelike experience that somehow scratches a different itch and still retains most of what made the original so special, while also removing much of what made it traditionally abrasive. Nightreign is still hard, but it is designed around repetition and encourages incremental mastery. Not to mention it alters the formula to make it faster, smoother, and overall much cleaner of a challenge. I just think it's incredibly fun. A Fellowship is quick play World of Warcraft Dungeons. It isn't trying to hide it, and it knows exactly what it wants to be. Similar to Q.Up, it's trying to solve a problem. How can I enjoy tab targeting dungeons without the time commitment and grind? I gave it a go as both DPS on my own and as a tank later with friends. It's fun, a bit daunting, and for those veterans of MMOs, there's something even for you at the end of the leaderboard. I'm watching it closely for updates and cannot wait for the new support tank, one of my favorite archetypes. BAPBAP is a hero-based isometric arena battler. BAPBAP works similar to rounds, where every round is a deathmatch, and everyone but the last standing gets an upgrade at the end of the round, but only the last standing gets a point. So it tends to be a fair party game where no one gets too strong, and the players who are struggling get a leg up. For a free game, it's surprisingly detailed, with custom emotes, player banners, and several interactables just on its main menu, but can still be goofy enough to allow a tank spawning to be a potential upgrade. It's a bit exclusive to friend groups, but it has the same unmistakable charm as casual Smash Brothers with items on. Vellum is a masterful third-person roguelike. Every character is defined by a color with an associated mechanic, like Blue's ability to always apply a damage over time effect. Every set of levels has a unique mechanic, so one could be about having a shop and unique currency, another could be about getting 2 ethereal dog companions. There's plenty of unlocks and secrets, from parkour challenges to hidden interactables to optional puzzles in the levels. There are full-fledged raids, for goodness sake. It stands out because of the balance, the immense amount of content, and how unique everything is. Vellum accomplishes this tight novelty consistently, and I love it for it. Little known fact about me, I like auto battlers. More known fact about me, I like MOBAs, of course, specifically both League and Dota. The Last Flame takes inspiration from both to make an auto battler with the complexity of something like Teamfight Tactics, and molds it into an engaging, content-rich, roguelite auto battler. Seriously, I dumped a dozen extremely fun hours into beating it on the hardest difficulty, and return here and there for updates and endless mode. It's hard to put it into words, but the amount of heroes and items and variety in builds is immense, and is worth the price for this indie gem. The Last Faith is a Metroidvania meshed with Bloodborne, standing apart from other Gothic-vania titles with RPG features and a large roster of weapons and spells to drive gameplay. Aside from being gorgeous to look at, it's also a very smooth experience, with intuitive map design, no guides needed on my end, strong but fair content, and plenty of variety for its decent runtime. It's hardly changing the industry, but it's a tight and beautiful title that's getting a major update in 2026, so I think it's worth looking into. To best explain Ace Combat 7, I should recount how I was laughing and screaming exuberantly when I heard Fox 2 at the Game Awards, followed by confirmation that we are indeed getting an Ace Combat 8 in 2026. Similar to Call of Duty in its over-the-top but semi-realistic concept of war, it pays respects to real fighters and dogfighting mechanics, but turns the dial up, whilst doing so creating an experience that mimics how it must feel to be in a Top Gun movie. It's simply the best game I played this year, and likely one of the best action games ever. Going back in time to play the original XCOM after cementing my respect but not enjoyment of modern XCOM 2 is a tad insane. However, per someone's recommendation, I gave it a shot with Open XCOM, which modernizes the PC port and slaps some complete overhaul mods on it and gave it a go. Open XCOM X-Files is the best toy soldier game, outdoing even my favorite TBT Tactics Ogre in gameplay and customization. No other game is as intimate and competent at emulating the sense of managing a small army in every strategic facet. It's overall just the perfect war game. A 4X is a type of strategy game that involves 4 key elements: explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. It's a genre usually concerned with empires spanning continents or even galaxies. Heart of the Machine manages to achieve everything in this complex genre within a terrestrial city-state. It's driven by a delectable pseudoscience narrative that demands player choice to decide which of the 4 X's the AI wants to achieve. Heart of the Machine is the best narrative-driven city builder and 4X I've ever played, and that's only after a couple of runs during the first week of its early access. I highly recommend it, and knowing the AI War 2 devs, I know they're going to finish it and make it even better. I put my thoughts together pretty cohesively on Unicorn Overlord. It's one of the best Switch exclusives, and it is a phenomenal spiritual successor to Ogre Battle. Essentially, it's an RTS where all units are a squad and all combat is in instanced TBT JRPG-esque battles. It's gorgeous, fun, engaging, and extremely innovative, but also it's not very challenging, nor is it saying anything superbly interesting, given its war story prompt. Still, any Tactics fan should give it a go if they prefer power fantasy and customization options, because it permits plenty of imagination with squad and character tuning, but never demands optimization, both to its boon and bane. For the last few years, there's been a lot of Skyrim clones, but the only one to capture and hold my gaze has been Tainted Grail, primarily because it understands more than just the surface appeal of Skyrim. Aside from having a comfortable Skyrim Souls feel, it achieves that Skyrim immersive flow. The world is a complete ecosystem of lore, land, unique monsters, characters, magical systems, the whole shebang. It's easy to get absorbed into exploring every inch of the map, reading the books to garner more random world building, and questing because the quirky characters and scenarios are immensely humorous, sometimes more engaging than the main story. It's a great world to dive straight into and stay lost in the weirdness. Freshly released, still in development, and Elin has already achieved more in scope than most indie sandbox projects I've ever seen. It's open-ended, complex, and genuinely infinite. You can be almost anything. You can do almost anything. Which is why I chose to be a farmer obsessed with building his town and community. Seriously, compared to most games like this, none compare in their base management and design. I get to make an inn, cultivate pastures, and feed my allies stats so I can hunt for crafting recipes in the depths of dungeons. It's hard to capture it in words, but you should do yourself the favor and play Elin. If you know Radical Red, you know Imperium Emerald. This is a Pokemon ROM hack that aspires to incorporate competitive Pokemon elements naturally into the single-player experience of a given Pokemon game. Imperium Emerald being a spiritual successor of Radical Red. It's incredible. It has challenging team building, adds accessibility and quality of life for building competitive teams, and offers plenty of new and old mechanics and new Pokemon and route diversity and boss battles to create a perfectly paced Pokemon game that gives attention to its potential depth. It's genuinely my favorite Pokemon experience, period. I'm Your Beast is an adrenaline-pumping, flow-demanding movement shooter that demands mastery. It was the shortest game I played this year, and in its 2-hour runtime, still had an immense impact on me. Running through short missions, learning optimal paths, and pursuing achievements to progress the story kept the loop interesting, while its violent plot paired with excellent comic presentation and superb voice acting motivated constant improvement and progression from me. I'm Your Beast demanded achievement, not just completion, and rewarded it with a powerful yet concise story about a man made into a government monster. Another title I covered this year, and one of my favorites from Adored series I carefully follow, is Rune Factory 3 Special. This is an extremely tight snippet of everything that makes Rune Factory special, no pun intended. It's hyperlinear, it's a tight 30 hours, and it mandates engaging with marriage, which is a primary feature that's often not required, so it checks the boxes and manages to show off everything special about this JRPG farming sim series. I absolutely adore it, especially because I played it the year I too got married. Being able to relive the early days of Overwatch and enjoy Marvel Rivals with all its polish and fair monetary systems, while engaging with a fresh meta, was wonderful. Genuinely, very few of these hero shooters nailed melee characters, and Marvel Rivals does it best. The hero-based roster demands and offers variety, and it scratched every itch I had for this type of game. However, it also isn't something I plan to play again, given that it's in surplus of 100 gigabytes. Still, it was very fun and satisfying since it felt like a stroll down memory lane all the way back to 2016.